All right, we're back in session. Good evening again. It's 7 p.m. on the evening of Thursday, March 25th, 2021, this being the village board meeting of the village of Waukesha. Before we go on to item 7, you should recognize we have a dignitary from the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department in our presence tonight, do we not? Do you have anything to share with us or not, or just sitting in? All right, thank you for being here. Item 7 then is discussion and possible action on items discussed in closed session. Is there any discussion or possible action on that which was discussed? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8, discussion and possible action items. Item 8A is fire/EMS billing rate study. Chief Buchholz, are you the presenter for this evening? I'm assuming yes, he's walking up to speak to us.
At the last meeting, you requested some information. I tried to assemble to the best of my abilities, and I called them approximate cost per call to the best of my ability. I'm sure there's maybe some things missing or some things calculated incorrectly. An actuary is not my forte, but the numbers that I gave you I think are fairly accurate, and they're good approximations of what we pay per call.
Okay, questions, comments of the chief?
I think the breakout was quite good. Maybe just a couple of questions. How did you calculate the facility cost and the apparatus cost for each of the categories?
Facilities, we used a number of $2 million for a fire station, knowing that what we have out there is a portion of this building. We tried to estimate a separation in that, and we carried the value of that or amortized that over a 50-year period. Vehicles, we did roughly the same. We took the cost of the purchase of our vehicles, what we paid at purchase, and we tried to amortize them over engines for 20 years, ambulances for 12 years, tenders for 25 years, and the latter for 25 years.
Good, thank you.
Maybe just a half a step backwards on this. What prompted this is at the previous meeting, and I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was 2 meetings ago, we were presented with information to consider on the rates that other communities charge for similar types of services. Without diving too deep into that, I think there was a recognition that we were on the lower end of the scale, and part of it was discussions that had been had with the village of Vernon, with which we have worked cooperatively for many years and continue with regard to fire and EMS services. And part of the discussion is whether it would make sense to match their rates, which are significantly higher than ours, or not. I think what specifically prompted this homework assignment for the chief, if I can call it that, as Attorney Macy indicated to us that we simply couldn't adopt their rates or adopt some other rates without justification, that the cost to deliver those services was at least as much as or more than we were proposing to ask if we were to increase the rates. I may be butchered through that. Is that, Chief, is that essentially the point?
That's true. I would like to point out, though, that several of these communities he represents, and we're the only community that he raised that concern with, and all of their rates are substantially higher than ours.
Okay. And the bottom line conclusion on that, you've got this into, what are there? Are there 5 different categories, if you will, here of service, and your total approximate cost for each of those different calls for services, those would exceed, would they not, at each one of those, the amount that the Village of Vernon is charging for that service? Is that accurate statement?
Yes.
Okay. All right, further questions or comments? I don't know there's any action to be taken on this tonight. I mean, I think this is in for informational purposes. Does anybody see it any differently? No further questions? Okay, then we'll thank you for presenting the information. We'll move on from there. Item 8B is update on status of road projects. Our Department of Public Works Director, Jerry Noley, is here, right, in the back of the room. Do you want to come forward? Tell us what you did, please. We've got information in the packet. Why don't you just explain that?
You know, everything, it's a DPW recommendation. Everything that we evaluated is in your
Get
packet.
real close to that microphone if you would. You got good stuff to say. We want to hear it.
Everything that we looked at is in your packet, so you should have copies of everything, same thing that I got here. So, you know, clearly we prioritized all our roads that needed paving. We had one, which is item number 2, which is Stonehenge Court for paving. That has deteriorated to the point where it needs to be completely redone. That's a soft center cul-de-sac. And I think there's a diagram that is in there too of it, kind of crude. I'm not a draftsman or anything, but anyhow, it kind of shows you the dimensions of the cul-de-sac. The road width is only 20 feet wide. It's too tight of a cul-de-sac for garbage trucks to make it around. That's why it's all crumbling up and coming apart. We patched it 2 years in a row. So that would be a priority. I know we try to stick to a plan, like a capital plan on roads that we do, but that's one, for instance, that it needs to be addressed as soon as possible. And like I say, we prioritized all the rest of them. There's a kind of an approximate number, what we pay for paving. For just like a mill and overlay is roughly $200,000 a mile. For complete reconstruction, you're looking at about $300,000 a mile. So I got all the distances and mileage, and if you add them all up, you'll come up with a number, and you know, it's up to the village board here to make the decision on which ones we do. I mean, we can only do so much. Crack fill I got in there. I got all the roads that need crack filling. I don't think that's a big issue. Some flex patching in there. I've also got some patches on Big Bend Road. There's some areas that have deteriorated. One is going through the canopy, kind of down by Glendale, where Glendale meets Big Bend Road. I think that should be repaved. You know, it's beyond sticking any money into for slagging or crack filling or anything like that. So it's basically in your hands. I know it's probably more than what we got budgeted, but it's a starting point. You know, we can prioritize a little bit better and get some prices.
Okay, well, thank you and Paul for responding to the request to put this together. Questions or comments from members of the board? I have, if there aren't any, I have one, and that's maybe you could just to educate us a bit. I know we have one of the pages in there is the 2021 DPW recommendation for road paving, and I think there are some 18 streets in there, and the third column is the PAZER rating, P-A-Z-E-R.
Correct.
Would you just explain
Well, that's
to everybody what the PAZER rating is and what those numbers mean, please?
Well, that's kind of a scale of 1 to 10 on the road condition. 10 would be your best, 1 would be your worst, and so that's the rating. So you get a road. Some of the roads, if you get one that's say a 5 or something like that, it's kind of in the middle of the range. That might be a candidate for your flex patch and your slag sealing. And that'll buy you, you know, anywhere from 5 to 7 years on that road, which we've done a lot of, and it's been working. So that's a route, but once they get down to 3s and 4s, it doesn't really pay to stick any money. They're a little bit too far gone to do anything with them.
Okay, and one follow-up question I've got to that, I know we have many times, Reichert and Melke, our village engineers, have done the rating and assigned the Paisley rating to the roads. I think, am I correct, did Ayers or did somebody else do the rating recently? And am I also not correct that you and Paul or whomever put a little bit of your own judgment in to
Yeah.
adjust those a bit? So whose Paisley ratings are these? I know they're not a whole lot different, but are
No,
these
they're
yours or whose
they're
are
pretty
these?
close. The company that you had do them, and I'm not sure exactly who did them the last time.
Yeah.
You say Rupert Milky used to do them. But anyways, we went out and we drove all the roads and we compared notes, and they were close. There were some of them that were a little bit off the mark, but
So my bottom line question, what we see here is, are these from DPW?
yes.
You tweaked some of, these are
Yeah.
your numbers?
Right.
Okay,
Like, they had Green Lane rated, you know, fairly decent, and
Okay.
if any of you, you guys are all welcome, take a spin down some of these roads and take a look at them and see what you
Okay.
guys think.
okay, other questions or comments? Okay, thank you for putting that information together, Jerry, appreciate it. Item 8C is operator license for, I may butcher this, Gabrielle Michelle Klowakowski. I hope I'm close on that. Do you have something to share with us on that, Brandon?
Yeah, she applied a week or so ago, did the background check, nothing came up. She's a server in 2 local communities. I would recommend approval.
Questions or comments? Are you prepared to act? Anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve the operator license for Gabrielle Michelle Klakowski.
Okay, thank you. I'll second the motion. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 9 is authorization of the payment of the bills. What, the total amount on that, Brandon, do you have that, or do I need to draw that back? Let me look here.
$94,942.92.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I so move.
And a second.
I'll second.
Motion by trustee German, second by trustee Kalinsky to pay the bills. The amount of $94,942.92. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Kalinsky.
Aye.
Dorr.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
German.
Aye.
That motion passes on a roll call vote of 4-0. If there's nothing further, a motion for adjournment would be in order at this time.
I so move.
Moved to adjourn by trustee German. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, the motion to adjourn by trustee German, second by trustee Kalinsky, to adjourn at 7:14 PM. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes 4-0. We're adjourned at 7:14. Thank you all very much.